Welcome back, guys. How are you all doing? I'm sorry if I look a bit rough because I'm having a rough day. My head is about to explode from pain, but we're not talking about that right now. But we are talking about pain today, by the way. So, as you saw by the title, today's video is about the 7 most painful places to get tattooed. Maybe this video is very obvious, but since I made a video on the best places to get your first tattoo, I thought I should make a video on the most painful places to get tattoos, not only from my personal experience, but also from people I have talked to. Not to waste any time, let's get into the first painful place. They're not going to be listed as from the most painful to the least painful. They're all just on the very painful side of tattoos. But the first and number one, also which I can relate to, is the rib cage. So my rib cage is not entirely tattooed, but it is tattooed from the front. As you have seen on my stomach tattoo, my ribs are tattooed and they had solid black packed on them, so it was very painful and I know what it's like. The rib cage is a very painful place, not only because it is a place that doesn't have a lot of fat on your skin, because the more fat you have in a place, it can be less painful. And there's also a fact that it can hurt a lot more, not only because it's a place where there is almost just skin and bone, but also because the nerves surrounding the rib cage are more to the surface of the skin, and so it really makes you feel a lot more pain because it is so close to the nerve. The nerves do a lot, because if you wouldn't have nerves, you wouldn't really feel pain. Am I right? But also because of the feeling that when there is a place when there's just basically skin and bone, it feels weird because you can feel the scratching of the needle a lot more, because sometimes you can feel like someone is just tattooing your bone, because the feeling is like it's just going into the bone, and if you would rip your skin off, there would be a tattoo on your bone. That's what it felt like for me. Anyway, moving on to the second very painful place, which I can't really relate to, is the head. I have seen videos, heard stories, heard people share their feelings on what it's like to get a tattoo on the head. There are also places on the head that hurt less and more, but it's still very painful. And also the fact that getting the tattoo on the head is also not only about the pain, but also about the psychological feeling that it feels like someone is cutting open your head. And I can maybe a little bit live with the story and the idea, because I got my neck tattooed, and I don't know if you can see, but part of the tattoo goes behind my ear where my skull starts, and that was a very interesting feeling, gonna tell you that. On one side of my head, it just felt like a very vibrating sensation, but on the other side of my head, which is my right side, is much more painful than my left side. It was terrible. It did really feel like someone is cutting my skull open. It didn't freak me out as much. I know that there are people that get really freaked out about it, and in general, you can't really compare pain. I think that's one thing you can't compare. So I think sometimes when people ask me how much a specific type of tattoo of mine hurt, I say that I can tell you how it hurt, but at the same time, it's not going to be the same as your experience is going to be, because we're all so very different and we feel pain so differently that it's sometimes very hard to compare. But these things that I'm listing are in fact one of the top things that are the most painful tattoos. So I think this is like it can hurt more or less for everyone, but like on the scale, these are the most painful places. So moving on to the next place are the feet and ankles, where I don't have a tattoo, but I also can very much imagine how painful that is. It is basically just skin, bone, and cartilage. I don't know how to perfectly pronounce the name, but also getting a tattoo on that area, which is not the bone, but the cartilage. Please correct me if I'm wrong and if I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, that place can also not be only painful, but it is a very interesting organ that we all have, that when you get a tattoo on it, it vibrates the whole freaking thing. Like for me, when I was getting my head tattooed, it also went on the ear part where we have this interesting material type of thing in our body, and it really did felt like a lot of vibration was suddenly happening in my whole head. Imagine getting a tattoo on the ankle or feet is not only vibrating through your whole being, but also very painful because it's also just skin and bones, and it is a very sensitive area. Moving on to the next painful place would be the wrist, which I have mentioned before is very painful, and I got only a tiny bit of a tattoo going on my wrist, but it is truly painful, and it is also because it is similar as it is with the feet and ankles, because it is also not only a joint that we have, and of course because there is not a lot of fat happening, and the closer to the palm it goes, the more sensitive it is, because palms are our sensory organs that we feel and touch things with, so it's extra and so I think also because of that it is very sensitive. And even if you touch, like, try touching your hand with a finger here and feel like it's not, you feel it, but it's not that sensitive. But when you touch with your finger over here, you can feel it a lot more, and it's getting very sensitive because it's not only just because it's just skin and bone and cartilage and all that jazz, but it's just anatomy. And going up from the wrist, as I mentioned, next spot would be hands and fingers and palms. Like, this whole situation. I mean, of course, that palm would be another point, but like hands and fingers, very painful, very painful. My left hand tattoo didn't hurt as much as the right one did. I have very vivid memories of that because I said one side of my body hurts more than the other. If someone can relate, please put that in the comments down below. I don't know if I'm a weirdo or not, but it does hurt, and the bone, the knuckle area did really hurt. I have some of the tattoo going on my knuckles, and that was a feeling that I don't want to repeat, but I still want tattoos on my fingers, so someday I will know what that feels like as well, but I bet it feels very similar to what it felt like when it was on the knuckles, and it was very painful. It is also feels like your bone is getting tattooed and it's vibrating a lot, and you're feeling a lot of pressure. And also because of the fact that the bone and skinny areas don't take ink as well as the fat and juicy areas, the tattoo artist has to go in there a lot stronger and deeper, and so that's why it can also hurt a lot more. After the hands goes the palm, because as I said, I think the palm is next level pain, because even me remembering bruising when I was a child and even a bit older, when I fall from a bike or fall anywhere on the street, and when you fall, you're supporting yourself with your hands, so your hands get bruised. And when I bruise my hands on the pavement, that is the most disgusting feeling ever, because it hurts a lot, and even if you don't have a lot of damage done, it hurts terribly. And so imagine getting a tattoo on your palms, because I said it's a sensory object. It has all the nerve endings you could need. I just got an SMS. Imagine getting your palm tattooed if already scratching it is pretty bad. So yeah, and I've also heard others, some of my acquaintances and friends that have palm tattoos, that they have no idea how they got through it, because that was the most painful tattoo they ever got. And yeah, maybe I'm gonna also share my experience on palm tattoos when I'm gonna get one, because I know I'm gonna get palm tattoos because I love how they look. And the pain is temporary. Even if it's really bad, it's temporary. So that's what my mindset is. So the last but not least, most painful part of the body where to get tattooed is the armpits. I don't know why I put my hands up in the air, but I also don't have tattoos in my armpits, but I just can imagine how painful it is. I have had my armpits waxed, and that was the first and last time when I did it, because it was so bad. Boy, I know that if I'm gonna get my armpits tattooed, I'm gonna be bathing in numbing cream, but I need to get them tattooed because I'm annoyed by the visuals of my body when I see that there's like empty gap in between my very tattooed places. So I think I'm gonna finish my neck, tattoo my armpits, and start my back piece. That's gonna be the order of which is gonna happen. And maybe for girls it's less painful than for men, because I know that there are girls that wax their armpits on a daily, and I've heard that people have said that their armpit tattoos didn't hurt, other people that said that it was unbearable. So I don't know in which spectrum would I fall when I would get the tattoo. We will see when it actually happens. But also it is painful because it has a lot of nerve endings for some reason. And yeah, it is just a very sensitive place. And imagine having your armpits just swollen up and like walking around like this. That would be pretty bad, but we will see when my time comes. And if some of you have armpit tattoos, please share your experience and share what is your most painful tattoo or what you felt that was unbearable for you, and maybe we can make our own list of the most painful tattoos in the world. These experiences and pain tolerances are different for everyone, so this was just something in general. But anyway, I hope you like this tattoo. What? I hope you like this video. Give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye!